worry and fear is growing right now among people in the region, mainly in the city of Uvira, in the province of South Kivu, as the M23 rebels have managed to arrive around this city. We have seen just a few hours, people are reporting around 5 bombs and also gunshots being heard in the city of Uvira, as the M23 rebels have succeeded to capture the city called Kiliba. This was almost the last villages before reaching Uvira, a very strategic area where the DRC army and the government has deployed a massive troops around and also equipment trying to stop the move of rebels. But this was not able. The rebels of the M23 fighting under the coalition of the IFC launched the offensive since almost Monday up to now. They have succeeded in the last 2-3 days to capture the main stronghold where the DRC army with their allies were trying to stop their move, like Luvungi and also Kiziba and different other positions. But the fighting of this Uvira is also very significant because it's bordering with Burundi, and the Burundian army has been supporting the DRC in the battle for the last 2 years and now losing together, but they are worrying also because of the escalation, as Burundi is still very determined to defend the DRC army, and they are saying they will stop the move of the M23. But many people are questioning on the real capacity of the Burundian and also different allies of the DRC army. But the main things now and also the war is for the civilian. Some of them had fled from different villages and others were even caught in the middle of the battle, and the deaths were also counted among civilians. But these people, those who have succeeded to reach the city of Uvira, will have now to seek shelters in the other side, but majority of them doesn't have capacity as they don't know what may happen right now in the area. Alain, Uaykani, Al Jazeera, Goma, the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Now, the US State Department says it's deeply concerned by the ongoing violence in the Democratic Republic of Congo and called on Rwanda to prevent further escalation. It says the Trump administration is working to restore stability on the ground. Mike Hanna joins us from Washington, D.C. Mike, that peace deal was only signed just a few days ago, and the US is very concerned about this. What more do we know?
Indeed, yes. Well, it was a peace deal that President Trump hailed as a major breakthrough in this ongoing conflict. But like other agreements that have been reached between the DRC and Rwanda in the past, this one appears to be falling apart. As you heard there, the president of DRC saying that Rwanda violated the commitments the day after the peace accords were signed on December the 4th. Now, what is happening now is that it does appear that M23, which State Department there confirming that Rwanda is continuing to provide support for the M23 rebels who have been fighting against DRC troops in South Kivu province. Now, they've been upping their conflict levels in the past few days, it seems, in fact, since that signing. And you've got a major crisis here because what is happening is a large amount, thousands of civilians are being driven into the very edge of South Kivu province in the DRC on the border with Burundi. And you now have a situation where civilians are being caught or continuing to be caught in clashes between M23 rebels, DRC troops, and occasionally as well the Burundians who are backing the DRC in this ongoing conflict with the M23 group. So great concern from the State Department and indeed from the White House about what is happening in the past few days. The State Department calling on Rwanda to stop supporting M23 and to meet its commitments to that peace agreement signed a week ago.
I mean, Mike, I think that is the crucial part of this statement that you've just talked about from the State Department. Deeply concerning are the words being used. The things need to come to an end when it comes to this particular conflict. But what are the options, really, for the US?
Well, there are very few options apart from getting this deal brokered with the aid of Qatar as well in those ongoing peace talks that happened, culminating in that particular deal. But it would appear that this is the limit to what the US can do at this particular point. Now, included in that deal from the US point of view was getting rare minerals out of the DRC, something that it desperately wants. And that was part of the trade-off for brokering the deal with the Rwandans, the US using what influence it has on Rwanda to bring about this particular deal. But Paul Kagame, the Rwandan president, continues to insist that the violence is coming from the DRC side as well. It's not one-way traffic. But for the US, it's a very, very difficult field to counter. Many have tried to broker a peace deal between DRC and Rwanda in the past, and all have failed, as the current conflict shows. And once again, the US appears to be joining that long list of failed negotiators in this never-ending, it would appear, conflict.
Mike, thanks for breaking that all down for us. Mike Hanna there, live for us from Washington, D.C. Now let's take a closer look at the shifting front lines in the Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo. M23 fighters have seized a number of important towns across South Kivu province, tightening their grip on the east. Their advance has now brought them within roughly 15 kilometres of Ivuru, a border town on the shores of Lake Tanganyika. The lake forms a natural boundary with Burundi, Tanzania and Zambia. Now, Ivuru serves as the administrative hub of South Kivu and has hosted the headquarters of the Congolese military since the M23 took control of Bukavu. Now, earlier, my colleague Nick Clark spoke to Zabel Belhalal from the Global Initiative Against Transnational Organised Crime. He said Rwandan forces have been advancing alongside M23 fighters.
The Rwanda narrative has been the same since the beginning of this crisis. They never acknowledge having troops in the DRC, but the investigation we have conducted show that they are present in the territory. And I mean, they are talking about defensive measures, but the reality is it's there. The Rwandan troops are on the ground, and the group of experts, the UN group of experts, recently published a report saying that they even increased the number of troops on the ground.
So wherein do we find resolution here? Because, again, Rwanda denies backing M23, but says it faces a threat from armed groups with links to the 1994 Rwandan genocide, the presence in eastern DRC. So how do you unravel all of these countering views?
The fact is clear. You have FDLR troops in the DRC, and it's also true that they are supported by the Congolese government. So, and we believe that this conflict will never have a solution if we don't try to address the root causes of the conflict. And a part of the root causes, we always mention the economic dimension of the conflict. The fact that many criminal networks, the transnational organized crime, is one of the underlying factors of the conflict. So we need to address the fact that the warring parties are able to benefit from the illicit markets during the conflict.
So what do you mean by that? You mean the illicit gangs crossing the border to access DRC's minerals? Is that right?
I mean, it's not only about minerals. You know, today, if you look into the reality on the ground, all commodities, including minerals, cocoa, coffee, and everything else, are part of illicit economies. And while people are fighting on the ground, we have evidence showing that the business continues. And those who are benefiting from this business are security and political elites in various countries, including the DRC, as well as in Burundi, Tanzania, and also Rwanda. So that's one of the reasons why we are tempted to believe that the U.S. administration approach in bringing the economy at the center of the game is a good approach, but this has to be complemented by the need to really fight against criminal networks and transnational organized crime.
Don't miss out. Get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news and expert insights. Like, share, stay ahead.